देश में सेक्युलरिज्म को कमजोर करने वाली ताकतों में से हमें सावधान रहना चाहिए.
No, Kaveri, I'm saying when you're talking about secularism, if Congress is so keen about secularism, why did the Congress come out and say that what is the Gotra of Mr. Rahul Gandhi?
Mahatma Gandhi ji and Indira ji laid down their lives for the unity and integrity of India, for secularism in India. India cannot survive without secularism. We will do everything to uphold secular values.
That's what I said. I've remained completely bewildered by this. But I think that there was a mood in the country, an ugly mood, in which they felt that if innocent Sikhs were killed, it would teach them a lesson. And so I think he sort of represented that idea. He justified the violence, which Modi has never done. And you've also said that if people who perpetrated the terrible acts on Sikhs in 84, Gujarat would not have happened. I'm certain of it.
But when these goons start shouting Jai Shri Ram as they are doing it, that is when we know we have to talk secularism.
Where were the advocates of human rights when my rights were taken away? Where were they on the night of 19th January 1990 when there were voices blaring from all mosques in Kashmir that they wanted Kashmir with Hindu women but without Hindu men? Where were the saviors of humanity when my feeble old grandfather stood with 2 kitchen knives and an old rusted axe ready to kill my mother and I in order to save us from the much worse fate that awaited us if we landed in the hands of terrorists on the same fateful night? My people were given 3 choices: flee, convert, or die. Around 400,000 Kashmiri Hindus fled right after that night of horror. They survived. Those who didn't were killed.
The fact of the matter is that Savarkar and his followers put forward the idea of an India that was a Hindu India. So much so that he abuses Ashoka, and Golwalkar follows it up, by saying that this doctrine of non-violence is the worst thing that ever happened to India. And they go on to celebrate hatred, envy. It's on this basis that he produces a vision of India as
he inherited from Mrs. Gandhi, because in that first election campaign he ran as Prime Minister, Sikhs as a community were maligned as enemies of the country. Do you remember this? Those ads in newspapers across India. The Congress campaign was launched with black and white photographs of Sikhs, under which a line of copy asked questions like, "Can you trust your taxi driver?" Since the campaign material could not have been put together overnight, it made many Sikhs ask whether the attack on the Golden Temple had been deliberately planned by Mrs. Gandhi in the hope of consolidating the Hindu vote. There was a menacing note even in Rajiv's campaign speeches, an attitude that implied that if you were not with the Congress party, then you were against India. He accused opposition leaders of being traitors.
Because secularism is a core treaty, the basic treaty under which all these ethnic groups have come together. There is no monolithic Hinduism, there is no monolithic Catholicism, there is no monolithic religion. We all consist of different groups of belief. And the fact that we are allowed to practice our own thoughts, our own rituals, our own gods, is the biggest victory of a multi-ethnic, multilingual, multinational nation. And today, someone's are trying to disrupt the very framework, the very foundations on which India stands, the secular foundations.
Believe in. Now, there was a great chant. Mother Teresa was one of the most respected figures of Calcutta. Everyone. But you know, when she died, she was given a military funeral. You remember it, as some of us do. And it was said, she's a great secular figure. My God, she was one of the most devout religious figures of all time. She believed in her own faith, and she quite aggressively believed in her own faith. I respect her for that. Yet she's called secular, but I am communal, although I celebrate Christmas.